It's true that the growth of economic growth of the East African community has been more than 6% for the past 5 years. But of course, it is important for now to improve or consolidate that performance. And then there are many things to do in that regard. First is to perform internal reforms within our countries. You know, I was reading the Doing Business report of 2019. We have two countries, Rwanda and Kenya, who are at 29th position and 61st respectively, but other countries are below the 100th position. Uganda is at 127, Tanzania 144, Burundi 168, and South Sudan 185. So we really need to do something to improve the business environment in our countries. But beyond that, it's important also to implement the protocols that you were talking about. Customs union, common market, those are important protocols that are easing business between partner states, free movement of people, of labor, of good. But the problem we are facing now that we have many challenges, including non-tariff barriers that were imposed between partner states. So this is an area that we need to work together in order to have better results for the future.
Right, Minister, one thing that's very striking, it's one thing to actually talk about ease of doing business. Of course, Rwanda, Mauritius stand out when it comes to that across the continent, not just East Africa standards. But if we're to delve into the macroeconomics here, the East Africa community direly needs to iron out the harmonization of the macros. Just 7 months ago, South Sudan's inflation was north of 150%. On the other hand, a country like Rwanda has managed to arrest inflation. Inflation targeting is working very well for them. Is this something that you're actually looking very heavily into to harmonize the macroeconomics across the region going forward before we start talking of an economic union?
Yes, the integration process within the East African community has 4 pillars. The first two were those I mentioned, the customs union and common market. But the third is the monetary union. And to achieve that, we, of course, need to harmonize all those macroeconomic data and procedures. So it's important for the East African community and its partner states to work hard to achieve that goal, because the protocol was signed, but I think we are still lagging behind in the goal we had set for achieving the monetary union.
Minister, let's talk about over the past few months. 2018 was marred by talk of nationalism. On one end, we've seen a rather-handed Tanzanian President John Pombe Magufuli enforcing some protocols that some might actually argue are not in line with the East African Community protocols. Are these reports that you could confirm, let alone, on the other hand, Uganda and Rwanda having a few spats here that could have actually involved former Inspector of Police General Kale Kalihura?
Yes, it's normal for EAC partner states to have or to pursue their interests. That is normal for any partner state. But the problem is that we have the same goal of integration. We have a goal that we have set to achieve for the future political federation and to go through certain steps of integration. And now what you have seen recently is issues and problems between countries, including non-tariff barriers. Those non-tariff barriers between some partner states are hampering our road to integration. And we have also issues on the borders. You know that under the customs union, we have the OSBPs, one-stop border posts, to ease the free movement of people. But some of those OSBPs were closed because of the situation in the region. So the integration of our community depends heavily on the improvement on the political climate between countries of that community.
Minister, if I could just maybe go back to this particular issue, which is quite interesting. Reports that the former Inspector General of the Ugandan police was on his way to Kigali just before he was actually arrested in Uganda. Of course, he's being tried for treason right now. Is this something that you can actually confirm?
No, I can't confirm. What I know is that we are precisely in the common market in free movement of people. I think any EAC citizen can travel anywhere in the community. But on that particular case, I'm not aware of it.
Thank you very much for that. Let's move on. Finally, before I let you go, Minister, the issue of a political federation, or of course, after achieving a monetary union and economic union, the next step would actually be a political federation. Is this something that is actually in the works already? We do know that Article 5.2 of the East Africa Community Protocol allows for this, but is this actually being pondered, or is it just another clause in the protocols that is just there for finesse?
As I was saying, the integration is based on 4 pillars. The 2 first pillars we are implementing them, the customs union and the common market, though we still have really difficulties in the implementation of those protocols. The next one is the monetary union. You know, the East African Legislative Assembly has already passed bills creating some of the institutions that will help us in the monetary union, like the East African Monetary Institute, which will become at a later stage the central bank of the community. But the last pillar, which is the ultimate phase of integration, is the political federation. And as a transitional measure, the East African community has agreed to have a confederation, a political confederation, which will be a transitional phase towards the political federation. So this is the normal goal of any ambitious integration process than the one we are in now within the East African community. But for the time being, it is important to implement in good faith the 2 protocols that we have already signed, because this will be the sign of our political commitment to go further in our integration.